The future of creativity isn't coming, it's already here. And a handful of people aren't just watching it unfold, they're the ones building it. They're shipping tools used by millions of creators, protecting the world's most iconic music catalogs, redefining what global brands can do, and pushing the craft itself to places it's never been. Please welcome the Culture Shifters.
Woo! So exciting to have you guys here today, especially you guys. The most interesting creative work today isn't created by one sector. It's created by creatives that work at the intersection of culture and technology. Technology's opened a door that never existed before, and now we could create at the speed of our ideas. Next 30 minutes, we're going to go inside the tools, instincts, and work at the forefront of culture and technology. And so to get started, for everyone, I have a question. So each of you guys can answer in just one line. What is the most culturally important thing happening in AI right now that you don't think is getting enough oxygen? We could start with you, Coco.
So hi everyone, I'm Coco, the co-founder and CEO of OpenArt. To answer Paige's question, I have a bold prediction. I think in 2 to 3 years, majority of the content on social media will be made with AI. I don't know if all of you agree, but this is the trend I've personally observed. And the reason I say this is that I've noticed like this trend, including you, Paige, like started creating social media content with AI. And my prediction is that like in a few years, AI will become utility instead of novelty, and it will be used by millions of creators, and then it will, in fact, generative AI will become so common in people's workflow that people don't even realize, oh, I made it with AI. It's very similar to like, you know, when photography came out, people feared it and then say, oh, the art, it's going to eliminate art. But now everyone just snap iPhone photos out of habit, and it became part of people's workflow. So I think it's going to happen with generative creative tools.
So thank you first for having me. There is no good output without great input. So I think that there's too much oxygen spent on generative AI and everybody thinking about artists being replaced. But at the end of the day, we have to remember that our artists are at the center of all this thing. So that was like more like 3 sentences.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said one line, and that's impossible for me, but I'm going to do my best. Hi, everybody. So I think actually there's a misframe right now in the world, because I believe that, you know, it's sort of all being equalized in terms of the threat or the pitfall of AI. But in order to frame this, like if you've already formed your voice, right? You've gone through formation, you've experienced things, and you have a voice, right? You have talent that you bring to that, whether you're a brand or an individual. AI can basically have you forego that voice, right? It can impact and potentially erase that voice from existing. So that's the danger of AI. If it's applied in your world, you might forego that voice. But if you have not already formed your voice, right, there's friction in the process that AI could actually prevent you going through, so you won't actually form it. Right? So the problem is, I think this is being equalized. So everybody's just kind of saying like, you know, everybody needs to sort of avoid it, or, you know, so there's a pro and there's a con, but it's not equal. Like it can help, you know, experience culture, impacting culture. You need that voice, you need that friction, you need that experience. So I guess my point is like, there's a duality, there's an imbalance, and we can't just assume that it's all the same.
I think that's such a great point. And I think it's really important to consider that we are, in our own way, like a large language model. You know, you think about us, we're constantly comparing ourselves to AI tools. And we're like, how do we compete? But the thing that really separates us is that we are a wealth of knowledge with taste. These models are trained on billions of pieces of data, but they don't have taste. So what we need to do to make ourselves stand out, what I think, you know, needs oxygen right now, is the idea that we need to continue learning, continue exploring art styles, studying history, everything, because that helps us become better and also helps guide our taste. So hopefully, if you guys leave with stuff, with all these topics we just threw at you, This is one of the most important things, I think, everything that they just said. And so, Coco, I have a question for you. OpenArt has built incredible products and agentic workflows on top of groundbreaking models, like world models, but at the same time, you've captured the cultural zeitgeist through partnerships with category-defining artists, film directors, musicians like Chris Brown, and the broader AI influencer community, all while protecting their IP. That's a rare combination. Deep tech credibility and real cultural resonance. Walk us through that journey, and how do you work with both worlds?
Yes. So in case you guys are not familiar with OpenArt, so we are a startup based in Silicon Valley. And so OpenArt is a generative AI creative platform focused on visual storytelling. And our users, we have 8 or 9 million monthly active users globally. And then people have access to all of the best, all of the world's best models, and then we also build a creative workflow on top of that. So to answer your question, Paige, I think there are two very important things we do very well. On the one hand, because we have this 8 million monthly active users on our platform, we've accumulated a lot of insight on people's creative workflows and then a lot of trends. For example, in January, we hosted the first ever AI Influencer Summit in San Francisco because we noticed this trend of people using AI to create their own influencers. If you guys haven't followed Paige, you need to follow her because she has really amazing page where you actually use AI to create your digital clone. Because what we see, the other trend is that people will create virtual influencers, not just digital clone. And the other thing we also have done recently, very major, is that we worked with Chris Brown to actually produce his first ever AI music video. Yay! Again, you should check out Chris Brown's Instagram page. And then within 5 minutes, it got over 1.6 million impressions, and then also 5,000 reposts. And now I think it's almost 5 million views. And then the point is that people like Chris Brown, they are very open to the new technologies, and then we've approved that it's actually really getting audience engagement. So that's one factor. We have user insight. On the other hand, because we're based in Silicon Valley, and then we have very deep relationship with all of the advanced world, the models. So what we are doing is also build a lot of features on top of that. For example, recently, if you can show the video, it's a feature called Smart Shot. So what it does is that, we combined Imagen 2 from OpenAI and then Cdance 2 so that the Imagen 2 model is actually, it goes to the next model. Can we replay the previous one? This is the next feature. Oops. Okay, anyway, so this feature I'll mention is our IP safety check feature, because we noticed that people really, really care, especially brands, that if this image is safe to use after I create it. So we actually worked with this company called CopySite and introduced this safety for creativity. And other things we are doing with IP is IP licensing, or water and IP protection, so that you have watermark all of your generations. So we try to combine both the user insights and the best of the tech.
It's incredible what you guys have done. This is an incredible tool, and I cannot wait to use it. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
Amazing. So, Chris, at Anomaly, you're working across global brands that are conservative by default. How are you actually navigating the intersection of old and new worlds, and at the same time, what's the agency conversation right now that the purple version isn't capturing?
I can't tell you any of that. Sorry. No, there's
right.
there's definitely facets, and also conservative nature of brands. I think it's important, and many of you are in brands or in and out of brands. There's definitely ambitious marketers. There's conservative marketers. But if you think of maybe a brand by whole could be somewhat conservative. There could be very ambitious marketers inside that brand, and then usually the most conservative group are the lawyers within any sector, right? I think we can all agree on that. Hopefully that's pretty clear. So what you have to kind of do is you have to at least understand that relationship, and you have to understand, okay, the ambitious marketer wants to use this technology because they know there can be a profound leap or increased capacity, or let's do some extraordinary stuff, let's invent. There's probably many individuals around them that are a little skeptical and calm down a little bit, I don't know if that's cool. And then the lawyers are here's the addendum that you have to follow, right? So we then have to say, okay, let's go through that process. And usually what'll happen is we've sold through or presented a concept, or there's like a construct that everybody loves, and generative AI used through and through, but like with our talents, with our humanity, exactly how AI was used in the process, as we know all, it can be a little bit ambiguous. So you go in and you have this killer concept and you love it. The ambitious marketer says, I want to make that. And we've been transparent, we've caveated, we've said, hey, this is where AI plays a role, maybe this is what affects the production timeline or the process. And it's like, cool, I need you to say that to this other group, right? So now you start to work and you have to start where, like, if you want to take somebody to someplace uncomfortable, and this has always been the case in emerging technology, start with where they're comfortable. And just kind of pull them a little bit, closer to that uncomfortable thing. So it's like, you understood this. You went through this with social media. You went through this with virtual reality. You went through this with maybe different data systems or content. Like, the first time working with an influencer where you didn't get to review the edit, and they were going to post on your behalf. We've all had these sort of moments. So it's so important to kind of bring that forward. And why I love this time, partly is because I have that experience and that history of how it's been done, and I can kind of bring that forward. But when you come at it, like, honestly in that room, and you start to just like, you say, this is exactly what we've done. This is how it's going to work. These are the ways where it could go off the tracks. A lawsuit could pop mid-production, and it could basically mean we can't use the same model we used. Or these costs are no longer applicable. Like, set all that on the table and remind people of how it might go along the way. And I promise you, when you get in the room with the most conservative audience, at least you've answered many of the questions that they're going to ask. You come at it from a place of authenticity and honesty. And again, it's like, we've been through this in spectrums, and at some point, like, people aren't wearing the AI the same way. It's just the way we're doing things. It becomes systemic. It becomes integrated. Like, you're not going to be talking about all your models and workflows. You're just going to be focused on the creativity, the beauty of it, the idea. Maybe you've saved some time. Maybe you've added way more time. But ideally, we're raising the ceiling of what is possible. And if we don't do that as brands and organizations, the solopreneur who's just in a basement that knows how to kick ass with all of this AI is going to eat your lunch feature by feature or facet by facet. And it's happening. And it's like, you can't deny that, but you also can't be slow to transform. So, that is, I don't know if I revealed anything. I don't think so, but hopefully that helps. So.
No, that was great. And so for Kristen, UMG operates with massive catalog and IP weight, and you're leading digital innovation through real inflection point. How have you seen artists successfully capture the magic of what these technologies can unlock while navigating controversy? And what are some examples of artists at the forefront of technology, but doing so in a way that is so authentic to their own brand and zeitgeist? What's risky, and what can go wrong?
Okay, that's a lot. So I want to start kind of taking a step back, and let's focus on the navigation bit, because I think it's important for me to contextualize how UMG is approaching this paradigm shift in general. So at the core of it, philosophically, ethical AI, thinking about compensation for all of our rights holders, so artists, songwriters, the broader creative ecosystem, in an ethical way that is approved and supported by artists. So that's the bottom line. And we're doing it in kind of a two-pronged approach. So one is policy. So, we are engaging from a kind of public policy perspective, ensuring that AI companies are, licensing appropriately, that they're respecting IP. And so, that is one area that we're very focused in, and we have been for the last few years. The second piece is private sector partnerships. So we are forging a lot of different AI partnerships with ethical entrepreneurs. So you'll see announcements that we've done with Splice, with Udio, with NVIDIA. We are also engaged with our existing large platforms to ensure ethicality and that they're doing right by artists. So we announced a new YouTube deal, where they've signed on to, kind of an ethical approach when it comes to content. And what does that unlock, really, is the next question. So, I think you're going to see, you already are seeing artists utilizing assistive tools in the creative process. So not just from a making music perspective, but also how they express brands out into the marketplace. You are going to see our existing platform partners, so music services, DSPs, that are implementing AI in ways that create deeper fan to artist experiences, hyper personalization, just a lot of wonderful things that are going to come into the marketplace, already happening, and we're going to see a tremendous amount of that in the future.
Wow, that is just incredible to hear. And it's so exciting to hear what you guys are doing when it comes to ethics and working with AI responsibly with your artists.
Yeah, I just want to add one other thing. It's an imperative that, when you're at a position and you're in a specific sector of the industry, that you're not letting kind of AI happen to you, that you're taking a leadership position, right? And that, you're actively understanding what's happening in the marketplace, within the ecosystem, and building a marketplace out of it.
That it sounds like it's so important to use AI responsibly and to lead these models and so that we can use them the way we need to. As a creator, what you said resonated to me about ethical use. I wanted to share something with the room here that I don't see enough of. As an artist, a lot of times it's really fun to experiment with different AI models, but you could also train models still on your own art, and that's a great way to use AI ethically. I've trained models on my 3D renders, my 2D designs, and my augmented reality effects to create brand new forms of art that never existed for me before, but are yet still 100% mine. And so by taking those models, I'm able to customize my work in ways I never imagined before and generate at massive scale objects, homes, characters, communities, storylines, all in my own language, my own story. So I feel like that's something that I'd love to see more of, because it's a way to make AI your own, and it's a way to give your own fingerprint on that work where we don't always see that out there. So I highly recommend it. So for Coco, you're building the platform that 9 million creators use to tell their stories. Take us back to the beginning. What made you build this in the first place? And is this something that you imagined, or did the journey surprise you?
Yes. So just to give some context, before OpenArt, I was at Google for 7 years. So started at Google Photos. So I've been into, this creative space because my mom is a professional photographer. And then my first stop was at Google's Incubator, which is a short video platform focusing on lifestyle content, because TikTok was not as popular, but then started getting mainstream. And then I identified this niche of like TikTok for lifestyle content. And then later it got acquired by Google Search. And ever since that, I've been thinking, okay, I need to go to the next journey. And then I left Google early 2022. And then honestly, I have been pivoting like very common for the startup founders. And then back in 2022 August, and I saw this trend of AI images, and it was so early, and I thought, we didn't have any other good ideas. Let's just build a community of AI artists. And then we jumped in, and then immediately it got traction. And then from there, we started to expand what we offer OpenArt with images, and now we're mainly focused on videos. And our mission is to democratize visual storytelling. And today we have 9 million monthly active users, and then we are very actively seeking partnership with brands like artists to really commercialize, help commercialize creative AI.
That's just so incredible. It's so incredible what you've built. Each of you are trailblazers, straddling the old and new. What is the shift that you're seeing that the rest of the industry hasn't named yet?
So actually, this shift is something that I've been doing more closely. It's a little bit more with individuals or startups, and even in the education process. But I believe that we tend to have ideas or curiosities or things we want to try. And given that I'm in AI, I feel like a lot of people approach me with these. Once upon a time, it was I have a smart app idea, right? So now it's I have this thought, where does AI fit? But what I've really started to love is that sort of mentorship or that guidance process of how AI can really apply to those individuals or these things. So give you an example. So I've been doing more work and speaking and research in the neurodivergent space with generative AI. I found out that I had ADHD about 1.5 years ago because 2 of my kids were diagnosed with it, which you pass it down. So many of you may either have different forms of neurodivergence or know this. I met with my clinician, and when she diagnosed me, she asked me what I did. I said I worked a lot with generative AI, and it had been transformative for me. And she's like, I get why. She's like, that makes a lot of sense. And I was like, but why? Like, what do you mean it makes a lot of sense? So it sort of sent me in like a direction of where I really wanted to learn why, understand why. And you know, I had a lot of revelations in that, but for me, it was my activation energy, right? I would spend so much time thinking about how to do something, it would exhaust me, and I wouldn't be able to start it. Well, if you think about like getting into a new technology like this, it could be very daunting for a lot of people to like, where do I begin? For me, that was sort of everything. So it might have been a very small thing. It required a lot of energy to get started. So when I gave a talk and I started sharing this, a startup approached me. And they were like, we're building something in the neurodivergent, Gen AI space. It is a tool to help individuals navigate them through, micro-managing tasks, compartmentalizing. And I was like, well, this is great. Show me what you've done. And we started talking about it. And I looked at the platform that they had spent like over 1.5 years building. They had spent a bunch of money on. And they were like, do you want to advise us? Can you come on? And I said, there was stipulations, and I was like, look, so this is walking into sort of what I think is the most profound facet of today. I said, I will not build this. I won't code this. I won't create your platform. I love your mission. I love your intention, and I'll absolutely help you with this if you agree to basically rebuild and own the build of this yourselves as founders. Like, I will help you, and I will show you how to make this product. You're going to rebuild what you spent a lot of money on that you're not happy with, and there's many reasons why they were not happy with it, and I wasn't interrogating its shortcomings, but I was like, you don't know, you're frustrated because the speed to which this can move is not evidence in this product. Because you're not controlling this product, you let other people control this product, and that is the fundamental disconnect in our world with AI right now. If you're expecting to pay someone to keep up with all the things that you're reading and for it to reflect that, it just might not. Right? And if you're not the one in control, you've foregone your agency, you're not learning, you're not pouring into it, you're not being the best of yourself. You're not giving everything you can to this. So in 2 weeks, she rebuilt her product, and she liked it better than the original version. And then I said to her, we're going to blow this up again. I guarantee you, and it's only been a few months now, or about 4 months, we've rebuilt it again. New frameworks, new code bases, she learned about GitHub, and she learned about repos and pushing code and different frameworks and different feature sets, and it's just been extraordinary because now as a founder, we also went and we did a huge deep dive into research to frame all the different forms of neurodivergence around all of these research initiatives and founders and talkers, scientists, to then fully understand what users might be going through on the platform so that if we detect language nuance, we can adjust the experience to fit that research. All of this has been a few months of effort, and now she's in the driver's seat and commanding her product. It's about to go into testing, and it's revolutionary. So I think about if you're a younger kid, right, or we have kids, or you're just getting started in your career, or you're a founder, you're a reinventor, if you do not own your moment, the thing you're creating, you're missing out on the biggest opportunity of your life right now. Because this inflection point is never going to happen again. It's punctuated, it's different, it's always going to be different. So any room I walk into with that person that says, this is my idea, this is what I want to do, I'm like, are you willing to build it? Are you willing to create it? Because I have 80 things I want to build, and I'm building. I don't want to build all your things, but I'm happy to be the spark and the catalyst and the provider to help guide them, and that's how we're going to impact and change the world. It's not just going to be about big entities, huge things. It's going to be about all these small, impactful movements and creators and brilliance and creativity, and the spectrum is smaller, and then the scale of that can be magical and really be impactful.
It's absolutely brilliant. Okay, I'm just going to repeat the question again. What's the shift? Sorry, but incredible answer. And you have me thinking so much because I'm also neurodivergent, ADHD, diagnosed at 12 years old. So I think this is a world for, our time has come. Yeah. So each of you are trailblazers straddling old and new. What's the shift that you're seeing that the rest of the industry hasn't named yet?
I'd like to look at the era that we're in right now. I kind of equate it to the electrical revolution 100 years ago, the digital revolution 25 years ago. I think we are very much at an inflection point and a complete and utter paradigm shift. As you know, I think a lot of what you said resonates with me, and you know, and contextualizing it to music and artists, you know, I think that we're going to see in the next 5 years hyper-personalized experiences. You know, artists who are, you know, kind of existing, creating, you know, with AI kind of in the DNA of everything that they're doing. And I think that we're going to be seeing out of these experiences a tremendous amount of new business models and opportunity.
Amazing.
I really agree with your paradigm shift, and then I see people's behavior will really change because of generative AI. For example, if you think about search, right? So a lot of you use Google search, and then, but today, probably a lot of your journey when you have a question started with chat, like no matter ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, and then if you have deeper question, you might dive deeper into Google. And I think the same thing will happen in the creative space. Like today, you might still be using like traditional like manual workflow first, and then let's use AI to, you know, like add cherries on the top. But what I think that will happen in 2 or 3 years is that you start with generative AI tools, and then you use manual tools to refine it further. And we're very excited to work, a lot of you here from Madison Avenue or anywhere in the world, to really push the frontier of this AI. So I do want to have a plug in here. So we're sending out this like a QR code. If you scan, you can get like $240 worth of OpenArt credits for free, and you can try out our app. And our team, like Raj, Akansha, Chloe, James, can you stand up so people know who you are? So these people, these friendly people, they will be here. So if you want to talk to them to understand more, and we're happy to offer like free workshops to you to like learn about generative AI in general.
Incredible. Yeah, I love everything you're doing with OpenArt. Everything you're doing with UMG is incredible. Everything you're doing with Anomaly is just brilliant. It was so incredible hearing from you guys today. I'm sure you inspired me so much. I'm sure you inspired everybody in this room. And so everyone, feel free to chat with us after. But thank you so much for joining us, and that's our talk.
Thank you, Paige.
Thank you. Thank you.